welcome to the show. I like your background, man. What's your favorite piece of your background that you've got?
Ooh. It's going to be this right here. This, and then I would say right after that, this box right here. I'll explain
What is?
why.
Yeah, what is that?
So this box right here is PropStream when we first started. This is the original version of PropStream. This is our software. It's really cool too because it shows you like all the requirements, like must have dial up. Obviously things were much different back in the day. So I like that because it reminds me of like where we started, and then where we're at today. So every time I walk into my little studio here, that's like one of the first things I see, and it's like, hey, we've come a long way. And then the 10 thing. So PropStream was acquired by Stewart Title in 2021. We sold the company for quite some money. And obviously now that we're part of Stewart Title, they kind of recognize the growth of the company. So I've been with PropStream now 12 years, but this was my little 10-year thing that they sent my way. So just love the fact that, when you hear acquisitions, usually it's like, oh, it's a bad thing. You never want to, see a company absorb another company. But that wasn't the case. Like Stewart Title has been amazing. And this is what I like. Like we got so far without them. And then when the acquisition happened, I really, this is the honest truth. We're kids with keys to the castle now because they have so much data. Like you have
Yeah,
no idea how much data they have. So it's like now that
that's
we have like,
very true.
oh, it's like literally like I'm accessing the playground before anybody else does. So love it. And those are the two things that I would say always just resonates with me the most.
I love that, man. Where do you want to start with PropStream? We've all heard of it. It's been around for a
Yeah,
while. It's got a good name.
thank you.
Where do you want to start with this?
Let's just address, so for some of us that are here, you probably know about PropStream. For those that don't, let's just give you a quick overview really quick. I'm not going to go through the actual product, but just kind of like a table of contents on what PropStream can do. So let me share my screen here. And for those that are wondering, okay, I've heard about PropStream. How does it benefit me as an agent, as an investor, as a real estate professional, for that matter? Well, this is what we do. Our product can do two important things, and that's analyzing a property as well as lead generation. Now, when it comes to analyzing a property, all you have to do is just zoom in and click on a parcel or type in the address, which, by the way, we're nationwide. So this is what it looks like when you're in PropStream. And what I mean by zooming in and clicking on a parcel, you can actually do that. Like I can go into Missouri right now and zoom into Columbia, which, by the way, I'm in Southern California. We don't restrict anybody, so you can search any market you'd like. There's no limit. But right now, I can zoom in and click on this parcel and then go into the details. And now I know the two owners on the property. I could see the property details. I see that this property was built in 1935, which is going to help me ask, questions about the condition of the property. I could run comps. And the cool thing about PropStream is we not only give you public records, so you can see off-market cash transactions, especially if this house is like dilapidated, you're probably going to want to run comps against cash transactions, but we also have MLS data nationwide. So if this is like a property that's not in your jurisdiction and you can't access the MLS in this market, well, that's where we come into play. You can just tap into our MLS access and use our filters and run your comp. Not only that, we have demographics. This has become very popular over the last few months because what we did differently is we did it within a mile of every single property in PropStream. We have over 160 parcel records. Every single property, we did a 1 mile demographics around it and gave you things like how many owners versus renters in the area, average income, education level. And this is why it's become very popular with real estate agents. I'm seeing agents go into PropStream and type in their listings one at a time, go into the demographics to see the breakdown of owners versus renters, because now I know what type of buyer I need to find for this listing,
Mm.
right? If it's an 80% renter environment, I'm going to look for a renter buyer. So PropStream has a cash buyer option that shows you all non-owner occupied cash transactions. That's probably the person I want for this listing. So this has become very, very popular. We have tax information and a bunch of other things. So The cool thing about PropStream is we don't collect data from one source. It comes from, First American, CoreLogic, Black Knight, Atom Data Solutions, and other little small independent data collectors. And that's the key component about PropStream. But what we do after we get it, that's the important part. And so recently we did some AI integration. And so here's another property I wanted to show you. Looks similar to the other property that we just pulled up, but the difference with this property is it's been blessed by our new PropStream intelligence. So this is our new AI platform. Long story short, before this platform came in, it would be we buy the data, then it would stream to you. Now, PropStream intelligence is going to analyze our data, and we're telling
Hmm.
it to do two things right now. It's going to evolve, but the two things right now is, hey, we have MLS photos, so why don't you go through those photos of ours and give us a grade? Like, let us know compared to all the other photos that you're seeing through PropStream's MLS data, go through these photos and give us a grade. So it's going to give you a total condition grade, as well as a breakdown on the exterior, the interior, the kitchen, and the bathroom. Not only
Yeah.
that, we're also telling our AI data to look at our mortgage data. One of the things that PropStream's known for is our mortgage data. So we're telling our AI to look at mortgage data, to look at our pre-foreclosure data, to find indicators and behaviors, and how likely is this property going into that direction. And so this owner here has a lien on their property. It looks like they failed recently on the MLS. So you try to sell, you have a lien, you're not in pre-foreclosure yet, but if this direction keeps happening or you keep heading in that direction, this percentage is going to keep climbing and climbing. And that's how that works. So it's a very powerful AI system that we have, but this is one of the features of PropStream. If you were to ask me, how does this benefit you? It's the property information that we've collected from all these different sources, brought it in so you can analyze it all on one page. But then the other things that we've added to it, like our AI, our additional algorithms. Another thing that's really powerful that a lot of people like is linked properties within the same details. What we did is we took the tax information address, did a reverse search on it, and we can show you how many other properties they have in their portfolio, which is a really cool thing. Because again, you might be dealing with someone who has a tax lien and they have 3 properties. Maybe they need to sell more than one. Or maybe you want to find everybody in your market that has 10 properties. Those are probably the individuals you want to build relationships with, right? Because they might be listing properties every 6 months, and that's a new listing for you as an agent every 6 months. So one of the most powerful things that we do is the property details, but where I like to focus is lead generation. Because what if I don't have a property? That's where the power of PropStream comes into play. And again, we're nationwide. So again, that was California. But if I wanted to, let's say, pretend I'm an agent today. Let's say I'm an agent. I'm going to play make-believe right now. Let's say today I'm an agent in Denver. So I can type in Denver right now. And since I'm not typing in an address, here's what happens when you type in a county, a city, or a zip code. We give you every address that's going through some sort of scenario. So there's 280,000 records here, and you can go through them one at a time. I don't recommend that. We
Hmm.
will help categorize them for you here at the top, but what I highly suggest is go into our filter menu here at the top. That's located just to the right of the search bar. Start there. There's over 160 filters at your fingertips, and it all starts with the lead list section. In this section, you have 20 categories. I like to think of this approach as the traditional approach. Just like in the past, before PropStream, before that CD was ever created, you had to go to the county and grab a list from them. And you can
Yeah.
do just that here. I could say, hey, I want to see everybody in Denver that stopped paying their taxes on time. There's the 47 tax delinquent properties. But I'm not done because 47,000 records is a lot.
That
And that's where
is.
the additional filters come into play. You're going to have the ability to play with our property details, like whether you want vacant land that didn't pay their taxes or a commercial building or a residential property. And as you select your class, the property types will appear. So if you want residential, are you looking for multifamily or are you looking for, residential types of property? So you'll have options and you can select more than one. PropStream intelligence, we showed you that, right? You can actually filter for that. Show me all the properties that have an overall condition of average or below, because I know a fix and flipper who loves tax delinquent properties that aren't in great condition. That might be the property for them, right? So you can filter by our PropStream intelligence, our foreclosure factor. We have MLS filters. This is cool because you could say I want it on market, but I know most of you guys want it off market. So you're most likely going to hit no, but you could stack. What's also awesome about having MLS data is I could say tax delinquent, and under MLS status, I could say, oh, it also failed on the market. So you've already exhausted that option with that broker. How about our brokerage helps you out, right? We have probably a bigger buyer's list or whatever that method may be. So you have MLS filters, you have pre-foreclosure filters, so you can, identify certain ones or exclude those records from your search. Ownership info filters, so you can look for owner occupied, non-owner occupied, certain years of ownership, the owner type. Remember the numbers of properties, that link thing? You can actually search by that. So show me a tax delinquent property who failed on the market, and this owner has maybe 3 properties or more under their portfolio. Now we're down to 815. Lien, bankruptcy, divorce statuses are also filters that you can apply. Value and equity, so you can search by estimated values, rental values, or even an equity amount if that's what you need. And last but certainly not least is our mortgage section. You can search up to 4 open mortgages on a property, or perhaps a certain loan type, or even an interest rate. So I'm looking for a tax delinquent property who failed on the market. The property owner has 3 properties or more, and the type of loan they have is a FHA or a VA loan. That's who I'm looking for. And there are your 5 Denver properties that fit that exact criteria. And that is the power of PropStream. But if I could be honest with you guys, there's a lot of filters, and I know it can be very overwhelming. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to give you guys some best practices on how to effectively approach when you're building your list in PropStream, okay?
Thank you.
There are 2 ways to do this. The first way we kind of talked about, and that's the traditional approach. It starts with picking a list. So just a few moments ago, you saw me pick the tax delinquent list. That's the traditional step. You start with the list. But the next thing I highly recommend that you decide is, do you want it on or off market? Now, again, I would be lying to you, but most of our users only use us for off-market properties. So the next step is most likely going to be going into the MLS section and hitting no there. So pick the list that resonates with you, especially if it's a distressed owner list, like a lien list or bankruptcy list, and then make sure it's off market next. Okay, that's step number 2. Step number 3, go to the equity section, value and equity, and let us know the amount of equity that you need. Because again, we have negative equity properties, but if you don't want to encounter a homeowner with negative equity and tell them you got to bring money to the table in order to list your property, then you could avoid that conversation. Just go to in our equity section and apply a minimum. Say, okay, I want tax delinquents that are off market, and please make sure you have at least 30% in equity or more. And then the step number 4 is a combination of 2 things, and that's just add your property and owner characteristics. Because as I showed you, we have vacant land and commercial buildings and office spaces. So if you don't tell us exactly what you need, we're going to give it all to you, and that could cost you time and marketing money. So if you don't need those duplexes or apartment complexes, head into our property details and say, hey, I'm looking for just a residential property, only single family. I don't need any of this other stuff. And I don't want a mansion, so keep the bedrooms under 5. You got to be specific on your details, because the thing about PropStream is, again, we have over 160 million parcel records. And so if you don't tell us what you want, our assumption is you probably want everything. Okay, so lists, off market, your equity, property characteristics, and then last, but certainly not least, your owner preference, right? Your owner characteristics. Remember, the intention of lead generation is to build a list and market to it. Whether you use our marketing platform or another one, or even knock on doors, in theory, you're controlling who's going to call you back or open that door. So if I say, hey, I would love a list of corporate-owned properties, and I market to a list of corporate-owned properties, then corporate-owned properties are going to be calling me back. Okay, so if I don't want corporate-owned properties calling back, let's say I just want individuals calling me back, then you're probably going to want to make sure that you select individuals as your owner type. Okay, so let's recap. What are those 4 steps to approach this the traditional way, just like many have before? Pick a list, make sure it's off market, apply that equity that you need to, again, you don't come across a negative equity property or upside down property, underwater, whatever you want to call it. And then your property and owner characteristics, because we have so much data, it could cost you time and marketing money. So be specific on your property characteristics. And then again, you get to control who calls you back. And that's because you get to control the type of owner you're targeting, right? Cause and effect. Build a list of individuals, I market to them, individuals call me back. So be aware of that. Anything after that is what we would call list stacking. So let's say, okay, well, I got my 28 properties. You know what? I also want someone with a mortgage. Okay, we'll go in there and add a mortgage, right? As long as you follow these 4 steps, you'll be headed in the right direction and you should have some really good leads. Now, this is what I want to leave you guys off with, okay? I've been around real estate agents and professionals like yourself for a long time. I started realizing this isn't the only way to find leads. As a matter of fact, just remember this philosophy, okay? A lead is not always going to be on a list. And if you understand that, then you're on the right track. As a matter of fact, I call that building situations. There are so many situations happening right now as I'm talking that are never going to be on a list that none of us data collectors can collect, right? Because it just doesn't exist. But because we've put all that data together, you can actually create things that people have never thought about. I'll give you a few examples today, okay? But before you do any of this building situations, let's just make sure we get the important stuff out of the way, okay? Step 1, make sure it's off market. Okay, so before you start building your situation, make sure it's off market. Step 2, make sure you apply your equity. Step 3, property and owner characteristics, right? So even though you haven't built a situation yet, these are still probably some things that you need to consider. So let's do that. I am in Denver. Let's play make-believe. Let's say I pulled every single list PropStream has to offer. Am I done? No, Burton said a lead is not always on a list. So, but before we do this, let's make sure it's off market. So MLS off market. Equity, let's do 30% again. Owner, property type. So we'll go back here. Let's do residential, single family. Again, we'll keep it under 5 bedrooms. I don't need a mansion or anything. And the same thing with owner, right? Owner, I'm looking for someone maybe in the house for 10 years minimum and is an individual. Okay, so my 3 things are done. Off market, equity, my property and owner type. Great. Now create your situation. And here's one that resonates with me because this is the reason my dad sold our house when I was in middle school. And it has to do with the property details itself. And you know what that is? Sharing 1 bathroom for 10 years. So
Wow.
how to do this search, right? All you have to do is identify a house that would be for a family. I would say maybe a 3-bedroom property. So if it's between 3 to 5 bedrooms, it's definitely a family in there. I don't see a bachelor owning a 4-bedroom property, so commonly, right? So find me all the 3 bedrooms to 5-bedroom properties in Denver. But here's the caveat: 1 bathroom max. That's all I need. Don't show me anything more than 1 bathroom. Not only do I need all the 3 bedrooms with 1 bathroom, let's make sure it's owner occupied. So I know that you've been that you live there. This is not your rental property. You've been here for 10 years. You're an individual and you've been sharing that 1 bathroom with your family for the last 10 years. There's 3,500 of them in Denver. That's what I mean by building situations. Again, this is the reason my dad sold. He was not in pre-foreclosure. He didn't have a lot of equity, so he would have never been in the equity list. He was answering his mail, so he would have been in the vacant list. He had no liens, none of that. Just sold the house because he was tired of 2 middle school kids fighting over the hot water every single morning. This is something you guys have to understand, that you're in this transition. It must have happened somewhere in the 2000s, but things are starting to change. There's the traditional method, which is going to work, but that's becoming very competitive. You don't know how many people are pulling the same pre-foreclosure list that you are, the same vacant list that you are. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. My advice is if you're going to go into those categories, just understand it's very competitive. And the only way to win competition is creativity or a lot of marketing money. I'd stick with creativity because that's always going to win, in my opinion. But building situations is the next big thing. And people don't realize it yet. So things like sharing 1 bathroom. here was one that was very big last year, and a lot of people weren't realizing it. I saw a few people use PropStream for it, and it was going into our mortgage section. So let me show you what they were doing here. They were going into PropStream and saying, "Hey, show me everybody in the market that has like an 8% interest rate or higher." Because at the time rates were dropping. And so this was a great opportunity to say, hey, did you know rates have dropped? Now would be a great time to sell your house. Would you like to know the value of your property? And that was a huge marketing component we saw last year, is just show me everybody with a high rate. Because again, as a real estate professional, you know what rates are. But if you talk to the person who has 2 jobs, right, has no time to be paying attention to real estate news, they don't know what rates are today. And they don't realize that their 9% could, that 6% that's currently in the market right now could save them. So you might be thinking, oh, rates are going to 7%. That's really high. But guess what? There are homeowners out there with 10% rates that you're dismissing. They would consider a 7% interest rate because they might have gotten that 10% rate back in 2008 when that was the normal, right? Like, this is what people are forgetting about, right? That you have the luxury with all of our data to build situation. And one of the things I said earlier is just thinking outside of the box. Like, if I was a new agent in Denver, the first thing I would do is, hey, you know what? Show me everybody that's an individual in this market who has 10 to 20 properties. I want to know who these people are. These are the people I want to build relationships with. That's where I'd like to start my journey as a real estate agent. Know what they do, know what their types of properties they're looking for, right? What's your portfolio? What's your buy box? Because then I can go look for that. Because I know you're active, you have multiple properties, and when I give you a listing, it's either going to be a fix and flip or a rental property for you. So one way or another, this contract is going to move. That's the power of having PropStream, and that's where I'm going to leave you guys off with. So thank you so much. Tristan, you have a question, so how
Yeah,
about we
we've got
just...
one question. They want to know if we can look up probates as well.
We don't have probate. What we have is actually deceased owners. It's our what we call pre-probate. And so what that's going to show you, again, we don't have probate data. So any of these houses could be in probate right now. But what we're showing you is that one of the owners is no longer with us. Rest in peace, Eric. But that's what our pre-probate data is. It's just a deceased owner on the title. And again, this property could be this way for the last year, the last 10 years. All we know is somebody on the title is no longer with us. So no probate data, just deceased owner data.
All right. I like that, man. And then I know you have a giveaway.
Yes.
All
So
right.
three lucky
Tell me about the
winners.
giveaway.
So 3 lucky winners are going to get a gift basket. So we're going to be, actually, the team will be announcing that who the winners are. We're going to let them choose. But the gift basket is going to have swag and an annual giveaway. So 3 of you guys will win not only swag, but a whole year of PropStream, which is valued about $1,200 for the year. So good luck. Hopefully you guys get that. And again, we have tons of resources. So if you guys need any help, we do live webinars. We have an online academy. Just reach out, because we understand the sooner you understand our product, the sooner you can find these situations and start helping those people dealing with 2 teenagers sharing one bathroom, right? So good luck out there, guys. My name is Burton. I really appreciate your time today.
I appreciate that, man. All right. How do you want us to pick the winners?
You know what? I'm sure you guys will have a list of all the individuals that attended today. I know some
Okay.
people probably had to step out for lunch and whatnot. So we're going to let you guys decide. Just make sure whoever you decide is the winner, just send it over, and we'll get in contact with those individuals, and we'll send you guys the gift
Perfect.
basket as soon as possible and get you guys the trial immediately. Or
We
I'm sorry,
will
the yearly subscription.
we'll pick them off record and we'll make sure that it's somebody who attended in at least one of the sessions in this whole process. Do you have
Tristan's
a
like writing his name 3 times in the hat right now.
It's too late. I already sent mine in, dude. Um,
Just
is
look for
there
the
is there a free
$20 with
trial?
Tristan's name on it. What was that, Tristan?
Is there a free trial by any chance? Like
Oh,
10 days, 14
absolutely.
days?
Yeah, there's a link that Jazz just put in the chat. Thank you, Jazz, so much. Click on that link and it's going to give you guys a 30-day trial. So have fun. And again, we have tons of lists for you, but just think about those situations that you might be missing out.
Awesome. Thanks, Burton, man. I appreciate you. This
Of
was fun.
course. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Take care, guys.